Okay, welcome to this practice run on CSS. Well, not a practice run, but a CSS learning, working with text. 15. Let's see, that was, I don't remember. Anyways, font familiarity. Family. Two questions. The font family property. The font family property specifies the font for a element. There are two types of font family names. Font family, a specific font family like Time, New Rome, or Arial. Generic family, a group of font families with a similar look like Serif or monoscope. Here's an example with different font types from styles. Serif, New Roman, Georgia, font family. Generic family, font family. Serif, sans serif, Arial, Verdana, monospace, monospace. Courier New, Lucida Console, the HTML, P class, serif. This paragraph shows in serif font. Class, sans serif. This paragraph shows in sans serif font. Monospace. This paragraph shows in monospace font. Cursive. This paragraph shows in cursive font. Fantasy. This paragraph shows in fantasy font. The CSS. P serif. Font family Times New Roman. Times serif. P sans serif. Font family Helvetic Arial sans serif. Monospace font family Curious New, Curious Monospace. Cursive, Courier New. Florence, cursive. Fantasy, bleep up. Fantasy, result. Separate each value with a comma to indicate that they are alternatives. If the name of the font family is more than one word, it must be in quotation mark, the New Roman. Drag and drop from the options below to make the font of the paragraph Arial. P. Font family Arial. The font family property. The font family property should be whole, several fonts name as a fallback system. When specifying a web font in a CSS style, add more than one font name in order to avoid unexpected behavior. If the client computer for some reason doesn't have the one you choose, it will try the next one. It is a good practice to specify a generic font family to let the browser pick a similar font in the generic family. if no other fonts are available. Body. Font family Arial. Helvetic Neue. No. Helvetic Sans Serif. Sans Serif. If the browser does not support the font Arial, it tries the next font. Helvetic, then Helvetic. Helvetica. If the browser doesn't have any of them, it will try the generic sans serif. Remember to use quotation mark if the font name consists of more than one word. Why is the name of one of the fonts put in quotes? It consists of two or more words. Font size. The font size property. The font size property sets the size of a font. One way to set the size of a font on the web is to use keywords. For example, XX small, small, medium, large, larger, etc. The HTML small, medium, large, X large. The CSS P small, P medium, font size small, font size medium, font size large. Result. Keywords are useful if you do not want the user to be able to increase the size of a font because it will adversely affect the size appearance. Keywords. Arrange the code to create a style rule. The font size property. You can also use numerical values in pixels or EMS to manipulate font size. Setting the font size in pixel values (PS) is a good choice when you need pixel accuracy, and it gives you full control over the text size. The EM size units is another way to set the font size. EM is relative size use. It allows all major browsers to resize the text. If you haven't set the font size anywhere on the page, then it is the browser's default size, which is 16 pixels. To calculate the EM size, just use the following formula. EM is equals pixels divided by 16. For example, H1 font size 20 pixels, H1 font size 1.2 EM. Both of these examples will produce the same result in the browser because 20 divided by 16 is equal to 1.6 EM. Try different combinations of text sizes and page. Zoom in a variety of browsers to ensure that the text remains readable. Set the font size of the paragraph to 15. font style. The font style property. Font style property is typically used to specify italic text. The HTML class italic. This paragraph is italic style. P italic. Font style italic. Make text italic. The font style property. The font style property has three values: normal, italic, and oblique. Oblique is very similar to italic, but less supported. The HTML class normal, italic, oblique. Maybe it's oblique. The paragraph is normal. Style normal, italic, oblique. The HTML tag will produce exactly the same result as the Italian font style. What values is not supported? Is not used? What value is not used with the font style property? Font width. The font width property. Font width controls the boldness or thickness of a text. The value can be set as normal, default size, bold, bolder, and lighter. The HTML class light. It's lightweight, bold, bolder. Which CSS property is used to bolden the text? Was there anything else there? No. Which CSS property is used for bolden the text? Font width. Font width property. You can also define the font width with a number from 100 thin to 900 thick, according to how thick you want the text to be. 400 is the same as normal, and 700 is the same as bold. The HTML. The HTML strong tag also makes the text bold. What numeric values are used for the font width property? Font variant. The font variant property. The CSS font variant property allows you to convert your font to all small caps. Values can be set as normal, small caps, and inherit. The HTML P class normal. Conversion to normal. Variant normal. Normal small cap inherent. Wonder what. Not every font supports Not everyone supports CSS Learn, so be sure to test before you publish. Make the text of a paragraph small, capitals. Small caps. Colors. Not color. The color property. The CSS color property specifies the color of the text. One method of specifying the color of the text is using color names like red, green, blue, etc. Here's an example of changing the color of your font. The HTML P class example. The text inside the paragraph is green. The text outside the paragraph is black by default. P example, color green. Results. Drag and drop from the options below to make the text of the color class green. Class green. And then color. Make tags of the color class green. Drag and drop from the option below to make the text of the color class green. Class green colored. The color property. Another way of defining the color is using hexadecimal values on RGBs. Hexadecimal form is a pound sign followed by at most 6 hash values 0 to F. RGB defines the individual values for red, green, and blue. In the example below, we use a hexadecimal value to set the heading color to blue and RGB from the forms to make the paragraph red. In the example below, we use hexadecimal values to set the heading color to blue and RGB from to make the paragraph red. The HTML. This is a heading. P example. This is a paragraph. H1 color. Example RGB. Result. Which of the following launchers are accepted by the color property? They can accept color names, can they? What the hell is octal? Align text horizontally. The text align property. The text align property specifies the horizontal alignment of a text in an element. By default, the text on your website is aligned to the left. However, at times you might require a different alignment. The text align property values are as follows. left, right, center, and justify. HTML on left. Parent is aligned to the strong left. This parent is aligned to the strong right. This parent is aligned to the strong center. Left align left. Text align right to right center. When text align is set to justify, each line is stretched so that every line has equal width. Each line is just and the left and right margins are straight. As in magazine is a newspaper. Which of the values below is not applicable for text align properties? Align text vertically. The vertical align property. Vertical align property sets a element vertical alignment. Commonly used values are top, middle, and bottom. The example below shows how to vertically align the text between the table. The HTML table border equals 1. Style higher. Ceiling padding, cell padding 2, cell spacing 0. Style height. Class top, middle, bottom. TD top, TD middle, TD bottom. Vertical line top. Result. Fill in the blank to set the vertical alignment of all elements having class tests. Class equals test to bottom. Fill in the blanks to set the vertical align of all elements having class tests to bottom. Fill in the blank to set the vertical alignment of all elements having class tests to bottom. The vertical alignment property, vertical align property. The vertical align property also takes the following values: baseline, sub, super, percentage, and pixel, or PT or CM, PT, CM. The example below shows the difference between them. This is a span class, baseline, inline, text, span, example, baseline. This is a span class, subline, text, example. This is a super line, text. This is a span class, pixel, example. baseline sub, baseline sub, super pixel. Instead of px values, you can use pt points, cm centimeters, and percentage values. Negative values can be used with the vertical line properties. The vertical line property does not act the same way for all elements. For example, some additional CSS styling is needed for div elements. Paragraph. This state is aligned to the middle. Main. Height. Width. Background color light sky blue. Display. Inline table. Paragraph. Table cell. Vertical line. Middle. Display. Inline table. And display. Table cell. Styles rules are applied to make the vertical line property work with div. Line property acts the same way as for all elements. No. Text decoration property. The text decoration property specifies how the text will be decorated. Commonly used values are none. The default value is defines a normal text. The default value. This defines a normal text. Inherits this property from its parent element. Overline draws a horizontal line above the text. Underline draws a horizontal line below the text. Line through draws a horizontal line through the text. Substitutes the HTML as tag. The example below demonstrates the difference between each value. Overline, underline, line through. You can combine the underline, overline, or line through values in a space separated list to add multiple decorations lines. What values of the text decoration property substitutes the HTML as tag? The text decoration property. Another value of the text decoration property is blink, which means the text blinks. CSS style looks like this. Blink. The value is valid, but it the the value is valid, but is deprecate deprecated, and most browsers ignore it. Fill in the blank to make the text underline. Indenting the text. One question. The text indenting property. The text indenting property specifies how much horizontal space should be left before the beginning of the first line of text. Property values and lines. PT, PX, PT, CM, EM, etc. Percentage and inherit. The HTML. This is an example of strong text indent. Strong property. First line of our text is indented to the right in 60px. Besides pixels, you can also use other measurements units like PT, etc. P text indented. Negative values are allowed. The first line will be indented to the left if the value is negative. The position of which block is specified by the text indenting property. First line of the text box. Text shadow. Text shadow property. Two questions. The text shadow property adds shadow to text. It takes 4 values. The first value defines the distance of the shadow in the x horizontal direction. The second value sets the distance in the y vertical direction. The third value defines the blur of the shadow, and the fourth value sets the color. The HTML text shadow example. H1 color blue, font size 30 pt, text shadow 2p gray. In the example above, we created a shadow using the following parameters. Result. To add more than one shadow to the text, add a comma separated list of shadows. What is the format of the value for the text shadow property? Width, height, depth, color. horizontal usual, vertical position, blur color. Text shadow with blur effect. When working with shadows, you can use any CSS supported color format. For the X and the Y, also various types of units can be used like px, cm, inch, pc, pt, etc. Negative values are also supported. The example below creates a blur drop shadow 2 pixels higher than the main text, 1 pixel to the left of it, and with a 0.5 EM blur. The HTML, the shadow with blurred effect. RGBA 1 pixel. Internet Explorer 9 on here just do not support the text shadow property. Create a text shadow with horizontal and vertical distance. Of 5p and blur radius of 2p. Condition on the blur radius of 2p. Text transform. The text transform property. The text transform CSS property specifies how to capitalize an element text. For example, it can be used to make text appear with each other capitalized. The HTML P class capitalized. The value capitalized transforms the first character in each word to uppercase. All the characters remain unaffected. Each word capitalized, P transform, capitalized. The value capitalized transforms the first character in each word to uppercase. All other characters remain unaffected. How to capitalize an element text. For example, it can be used to make the text appear with each word capitalized. That's brilliant. Drag and drop from the options below to make each word capitalized in the paragraph. Cap first. Text transform. Capitalize. Text transform values. Using text transform property, you can make the text appear in all uppercase or all lowercase. Here's an example. Uppercase, therefore all characters to uppercase, uppercase, lowercase. The value none will produce no capitalization effect at all. Which options is not supported by the text transform property? Small cap, uppercase, none, small cap. Letter spacing. 2 questions. Letter spacing property. The letter spacing property specifies the space between characters in the text. The values can be set as normal defines default style with no extra space between characters. Length defines an extra space between characters using measurement units like pt, px, pt, cm, mm, and etc. Inherits the property from its parent element, the HTML class normal. This paragraph has no additional letter spacing apply. Positive. This paragraph is letter spacing at for px. Normal letter spacing normal for px. Drag or drop from the options below to set the letter spacing of the paragraph. For pt. Okay. Paragraph. Letter. Position. Spacing. What the fuck is letter spacing? Using negative values. For defining an extra space between characters, negative values are also permitted. Here's an example demonstrating the difference between positive and negative values. The HTML PT class positive. This paragraph is letter spaced at 4 PT PX class negative. This paragraph is letter spaced at minus 1.5 PX positive negative. Result. Always test your results to ensure the text is readable. Fill in the blanks to make the letter spacing minus 1 centimeter. Spacing. Words spacing. Word spacing property. The word spacing property specifies the space between words in a text. Just like the letter spacing property, you can set the word spacing values as normal, length, and inherit the HTML. Normal, this paragraph has no additional word spacing apply. PX, this paragraph is word spacing at 30 PX. That CSS P normal. Word spacing normal. Word spacing 30 PX. When a weird spacing is used and is necessary to keep the selected paragraph with normal word spacing, the normal option is usually used. When a weird spacing is used and it is necessary to keep the select a paragraph with normal words spacing. The normal option is usually used. Fill in the blank to make the word spacing of 15. Measurement units. To define an extra space between words, you can use positive measurements values like px, pt, pc, cm, mn, inches, am, and xx, ex. Negative values are also permitted. Here is an example to show the difference. Yeah, it's workspace at. This pair is workspace at. Which measurement units cannot be used with the word spacing property? Feet, yards, points, feet and yards. White spacing, width spacing. The width space the width space property. The width space property specifies how width space inside an element is handled. The values can be set as normal, inherent, non-wrap, etc. The non-wrap value suppresses all line breaks in the element. All inline breaks in the element. The HTML. P. This paragraph has multiple spaces and a line break, but it will ignore it as we use the non-wrap value. It will be ignored as we use the non-wrap value. The text will continue on this same line until a BR tag is encountered. What are the functions of the non-wrap option? It puts the whole text in one line. It ignores the enter and line break commands. Oh, multiple selections. The width space values. The width space property also supports other values per pre. Text will only wrap on line breaks and width space. Pre-line text will wrap where there is a break in code, but extra width space is still ignored. Wrap text will wrap when necessary and on line breaks. Here's an example in which all three values are used. Pre-wrap values behave as pre-values. It said that it adds extra line breaks to prevent the text breaking out of the element box. What is the difference between the pre and pre-line option? Pre-line accepts all line breaks and with space, while pre ignores all the line breaks. Module 2 quiz. What is the correct CSS syntax for making all P elements bold? Fill in the blank to make the paragraph red and bold. Wait. Fill in the blank to make the text of all H1 elements bold and red and 14p.